Good morning, everyone. I am Melvin MINA Corpuz, but you may call me Maestro Melvin, as my topic for today is all about the art of illustration. But before we start, I want you to prepare for something fun. You can join us by opening your cameras, but if you can't, it's fine. You can still enjoy the activity. Hey, Sir Melvin, you may take the floor now. Thank you, Sir Melvin, for that fun game. Let's now move on with our discussion. Again, my topic is all about the art of illustration. Now, I want to ask you, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word illustration? I have interviewed several people about certain questions about my topic, and you will see the responses as we continue with my discussion. Let's first hear it from Kay Angeli.
Whenever I hear the word illustrations, I associate it with the word visuals because my interpretation of it is that it is a medium used by an individual or a group of people to convey their thoughts or emotions, whether it's simple or artistic.
Thank you, Kay. And now, let's hear it from Ate Paulen.
So the first thing that comes into my mind when I hear the word illustration is a picture or something that I can see that interprets a text or a story.
Thank you, Ate Paulen. With the word shared by your classmates, for you, what is illustration? Let's hear it from Rizal Malyari.
For me, illustration is a picture or example on explaining something in an easier way. It is also a medium or a process on illustrating or explaining a story for the readers to fully understand it. Illustration is also a visual presentation for presenting or explaining a certain topic.
Lastly, let's hear it from Cristel Hannah.
For me, illustration, it is about image or picture that has an interpretation.
Thank you everyone to your answers. Let's see now what is the definition of illustration. Based from Merriam Dictionary or Merriam-Webster Dictionary, a picture or diagram that helps make something clear or attractive. On the other hand, Oxford Dictionary defines illustration as the process of illustrating something, the art of book illustration. Moreover, D.B. Dodd, a designer, writer, illustrator, and visual culture theorist, likens illustration to a hammer. Why? Because a hammer is a tool that's used to create something. Moreover, illustration can be used as a tool to create magnificent portrayal of complicated topic or theme. Let's now move on with our very first illustrator. Professionals in fine arts didn't take an illustrator very seriously a long time ago. The said artist struggled for recognition beyond children's books, and his name is Newell Converse Wyeth, or also known as N.C. Wyeth. N.C. Wyeth was born on October 22, 1882 and died at October 19, 1945. He created more than 3,000 paintings and illustrated 112 books, and 25 of them belong to the Scribner Classics. Okay, Elika, can you read the passage on the screen?
Despite worldwide acclaim, he judged himself a failure, believing that illustration was of no importance.
Thank you, Elika. Here are some famous works of N.C. Wyeth. The first one is The Treasure Island, written by Robinson Crusoe. The second one is The Saturday Evening Post, written by Emerson Hough. And lastly, The Boy's King Arthur, written by N.C. Wyeth himself.
I think the importance of arts illustration is that it basically shapes the world that we live in, not just academically but also by the means of business and for the infrastructures, because as you can see, academically if a book contains certain pictures, then you will be able to understand what's the context is about. For children, it is necessary if the book that they are reading contains images, because illustrations help us understand the context that we are reading. And for a certain business, it gives you the for example, a logo will make you unique from other businesses. And basically, the houses and the buildings, the infrastructures, it is a product of arts illustration. And I think that's what makes it important.
Our next artist is David Macaulay. David Macaulay was born on December 2, 1946, and he is currently 72 years old. His works are for both kids and adults. Later on, we will find out why. And his illustrations are complicated machinery and architecture. A little background about Macaulay. He graduated architecture, but he did not pursue it. He instead took masters in education and later pursue his dream as an illustrator and writer. Here are some famous works of David Macaulay. The first one is The Cathedral. The Cathedral was published in 1973 by Houghton Mifflin. It was the first ever book of Macaulay. Cathedral is a book that talks about its construction. Also, this book is intended for adults. The second book is The Way Things Work. The Way Things Work is a children's book published in 1988. It was written by Macaulay himself with the help of Neil Ardley for technical text. It is about the introduction to everyday machines. Also, this book is intended for children because the machines here are intentionally made bigger for the children to enjoy. And the next one is The New Way Things Work. It is basically the sequel of the book The Way Things Work. Cristel Duay will continue answering the question about the importance of illustrations. Thank you.
In my own understanding, I think the importance of using illustrations, especially in children's book, is that it helps the learners to develop their imagination, vocabulary, and at the same time their speaking skills. And we are all aware that children loves to draw, they like to see colorful pictures, and they are being entertained of what they can see around them and identify the name of these objects. So illustrations becomes an effective tool to get the interest of the children and make them read these books with pictures so that they can learn some basic words, and at the same time it gives them an idea how to construct their own sentence.
Thank you, Cristel. After we hear the two famous artists, I want to ask you, what is your favorite children's book and why? Let's hear it from Rovi.
My favorite children's book would be The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo. I like it because not only it has a good story, but it teaches us a lesson on not to judge other people by their looks or appearance.
Thank you, Rovi. And now, let's hear it from Marian. Thank you, Marian.
For me, the best storybook that I read is the story of the prodigal son. Why? Because I learned in the story that no matter what happens, even if you have mistakes in your life, there is always your parents to guide you.
Thank you, Marian. Lastly, let's hear it from Che. Thank you.
In my perspective, I think the best children's book, that's why it is also my favorite, is Zombie Kid by Ko Moon-young. For your information, Ko Moon-young is not a real-life children's book author. It is just her character in a Korean drama. I truly like this story. in the reason of it is not just a typical children's book. It is unique and it has a deep message that will extremely touch your heart since it is emphasizing the love of a mother. Moreover, in the end of story, it has a question that you will really think what was the answer.
Thank you, Che. This will going to be my last question for today. I want to ask you, what kind of illustrated book do you prefer to read? Here are some examples. The first one is The Blueberries for Sal, written and illustrated by Robert McCloskey. The next one is The Big Red Lollipop, written by Roxana Khan and illustrated by Black Hull. Lastly, Cockatoos, written and illustrated by Quentin Blake. Let's first hear it from Shuna Faith Villarico.
I would prefer to read a picture books because it develops our comprehension skills and also our visual appreciation and visual skills.
Thank you, Shuna. Lastly, let's hear it from Karen Jane Candelaria.
When I was a kid, I preferred reading picture books because they have lesser words and are more easy to understand.
Thank you everyone for your answers. Our last example is a very well-known publishing firm in America. It is The New Yorker. The current EIC or Editor-in-Chief of The New Yorker is David Remnick. The New Yorker, a prominent weekly magazine in America. The New Yorker features journalism, commentary, criticism essays, fiction, satires, cartoons, and poetries. This shows that illustrations are not only seen inside the books, but also on book covers, posters, magazines, and websites. The New Yorker have made 1,231,715 of issues since 1925. These museums are the places where you can see the actual illustrations of the said artist. The first one is the Brandywine Museum in Charlesford, Pennsylvania, where you can see the actual illustrations of N.C. Wyeth. The second one is the National Museum of American Illustration in Newport, Rhode Island, where you can see the actual illustrations of David Macaulay. Lastly, Society of Illustrators in New York City. Obviously, you can see here the actual prints or issues of The New Yorker since 1925. The last answer for the question, what is the importance of illustration, is answered by a very close friend of mine who worked as an illustrator in a publishing firm here in Tarlac, and his name is Jomer Valencia. He states that since children only have limited sets of vocabulary, illustrations help them visualize what's written on books. They serve as their clutch to grasp the idea of deeper comprehension. Also, young readers can easily get bored with only words on a page. They would possibly find it intimidating if there are no pictures to support the written materials. There had been an unparalleled stigma before, and that is the major cause of struggle of many illustrators. But now, they are being recognized because of their contributions in arts, and some of them are being exhibited within the fine arts institutions. Some of them are Arkram, Art Spiegelman, Saul Steinberg, and lastly, Andy Warhol. On yourselves. Do the thing you think that is best for you. You can be anything you want, just put hard work. That's all for my demonstration today. I hope you learned something and be happy. Maestro Melvin is out. Thank you guys.